before you go on, how did you get caught? How did you get locked up?
Okay, so, boy, unfortunately, see, I was the type nobody really never saw who I was. And I try to keep that cushion between me and the customer every time. Now, my partners, Justin Maul, were totally different. They was out there. They was out in the scene. Everybody knew who they was. You wanted something, you can go to them to get it. And they would be the type to rob you and say, yeah, I did it. Here's my location, come see me. Like, they was out there like that. So they was the front runners of the whole operation. So as they started moving around, clearly, you sell, people start moving, and then somebody gets caught, and eventually, when you're under pressure, somebody's gonna tell. That's just what it was. Mm-hmm. Now, my two partners I would say got a little too comfortable because they was into any and everything at that point because they just had so much paper, right? They got into some stuff with some people that just wasn't as thorough as we was as a unit, and people just started talking, So they ended up picking Jamal up, picking Just up, and I was the last one to get picked up. So I'm riding down the highway one day, and I just see this helicopter flowing over me. At the moment, I ain't really, think nothing of it. 2 days later, I'm coming out my house, and I see a helicopter hovering. I'm like, damn, helicopters are everywhere. I must have raised the budget, for security in the city or something, because I never really seen this many helicopters. 2 days later after that, I'm leaving the mall, and I see another helicopter. So now I'm like, this is 3 times in 1 week. This is not normal. So I'm riding, I'm going off the exit, and someone just said, make this right turn. So I go to make the right turn, but I was like, nah, let me make this left, because this is a lot faster to get there. And when I made that left, I promise you on everything I love, the moment I turned that left to get on the highway, they just came from everywhere. Zoop, 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 get on the floor, hands down, face down. I was like, oh yeah, what the fuck? The basic routine. Man, they locked my ass up, man. I'm sitting there, they're interrogating me. And I'm actually in a stolen car at that moment.
Red-handed.
Red-handed, but it was all legit though. The VIN number was clean. The car was registered, had State Farm insurance, and they couldn't figure out how the hell he did this. So he was like, yo, how do you do this? I said, what do you mean? I'm just a customer. I bought this car. It was used. Somebody sold it to me. They was like, nah, don't worry. We've been trailing you for a minute. We got plenty of surveillance. I said, I don't know what y'all surveilling on then, because I'm just hanging out. Then you must have saw who I bought it from if you was watching me. Go chase that nigga. Because me and you, we're in the same position. So, of course, they try to get you to confess and tell on yourself. It never really happened. I go through 6 months of trial in the process of me being held in jail. And then I had a case, a gun charge in Burlington County with Just. So when I beat the case in Atlanta, they had to transfer me over to Burlington to beat that case. And then what happened was me and Jamal was driving over to Jersey, and we had guns in the car at the time when we got pulled over. So they tried to charge both of us with the weapon. And at that time, I didn't feel like it would have been fair for both of us to be charged for guns in the car that was already in there when Just was riding with me. He had one on him, but I made him keep his gun home because I already had weapons in the car. Mm-hmm. So when we got stopped, I ended up just taking the charge for the both of us. So when that happened, he was able to go home, but then they stuck me with that charge. And then I had some good attorneys who actually knew some of the judicial, pieces over there, including the judge, and they were able to get me off on a 3-year probation with obviously a fine for driving with a weapon. And it was my first official offense as a felony, so they was able to give me a break,
Right, because you did like 3 years combined
altogether? Yeah, combined together. It's about 3 years. And at that time, it was the perfect marketing plan for me, because I'm a marketeer on every front. Everybody thought, man, he did 3 years. I was like, yeah, I did 3 years. But I never told nobody how I did them 3 years. They were actually in pieces. Yeah. I just combined it all together. Now I can, completely be upfront, but it was all a part of the strategy also to make my image believable too at the same time. Because at that time in hip hop, man, it was like you had to have some kind of track record. Even though my philosophy was never get caught. You got to be the smartest nigga out there. You can't be the dumbest and the loudest, right? So I kind of needed to be a little ignorant just for the sake of branding my music. But mentally, I was always ahead of the game, and I always was tactical in everything I said or everything that I decided to make a decision on moving forward.